So before we start the class, please let us take the blessings of the beautiful deities of ISKCON Mangaluru, Sri Sri Radha Govindaji. Sri Sri Radha Govindaji ki jai. We were supposed to start from 36 sloka. Yeah, from here. Okay, so today is a totally separate topic. So it's like conquering the ultimate enemy, the lust. Okay. So next, Arjuna asks an important question. See, after hearing text 3.34, see, one may determinedly think, yes, from today onward, I will steadily do my duty and control my attachments and aversions. I will act according to Shastra. So that's what Krishna told Arjuna, right? You must perform your duty, simultaneously, you must do bhakti, right? So that is what Krishna told until the last shloka we saw yesterday's class. Now Arjuna will ask, yeah, okay. So we will, with that determination, we will start initially. We will do our responsibilities and we will start bhakti. We will do bhakti simultaneously. But listen what Arjuna is asking. Yes, from today onward, I will steadily do my duty and control my attachments and aversions. Raga Dvesha. Okay, I will act according to Shastra. So, experienced teachers state that, however, such immediate inspirations may prove difficult to adhere over time. See, but see, it's like like when New Year comes, what do we take a resolution, right? Yeah, this from now onwards, I will go to the gym. I will do exercise. I will reduce my weight. So initially, that 1 week, 10 days, you will have, and again, normally you'll think, wow, who will get up in the morning? We won't have that resolution, that strong determination, right? Now, only first 10 days on from New Year, January 1st till some maybe maximum till 10th, you will be able to do. Then again, who will get up in the morning? Our determination, slow by slow, day by day, it becomes slow, low, low, and finally we give in. So that's what Arjuna is asking. Yeah, initially I will have that determination. Yes, from today I will do everything. I will do my duties and responsibilities. And along with that, I will do my bhakti, that is chanting, reading, hearing, seva, and everything I will do. But as gradually time passes by, it may be difficult for me to do. What is the reason? See, Arjuna, he knows the reality. Being aware of reality, he asks the following question. See, 3.36. Jaya Mataji, can you please read the shloka, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
Arjuna Uvacha Adha Kena Prayuktoyam Papam Charadi Purushoha
Purushaha,
Purushaha
Puru.
Purushaha Anichan Avivarshnaya Balad Iva Niyojitaha.
Yeah, that is Purushaha, Mataji.
Ah.
Papam Charati. Yeah.
Purushaha. Okay.
Haribol, yes. Perfect, perfect, Mataji. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Arjuna said, what is that question? O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? See, in the picture, that man, we see ropes, right? He doesn't want to do it, but the ropes of greed, anger, ignorance, all are pulling him by force. Okay? So he's not, actually, he knows he should not do it. He should not do that thing. But still, he's being dragged by greed, lust, ignorance, anger, envy, all he's being dragged. He knows, see, for example, he does not want to, for example, I'm just giving a small example. He does not want to steal. He knows stealing is not good. If I get caught, I will go to jail. But he will still be dragged somehow, even though he knows it is not good. But it is that force. What is that force that Krishna is asking? See, he knows it is wrong to steal. He will go to jail, but something still is making him do that. Right? See, now, like in the picture, we can see how everybody is trying to pull that man, even though by force, by with ropes. See, false prestige, anger, ignorance, lust, all these are pulling him. Though he is not, he knows everything. So Arjuna, that is why he's asking. See, I may have that intention of doing all bhakti, my duties, everything, but something will stop me. What is that force that is stopping me? He's asking. Okay, what is it that still forces me to do all these wrong things when I want to do my roles and responsibilities? I want to do bhakti. Why is it? What is it that is stopping me from doing all this? Why do I still do all these wrong activities, sinful activities, like sense gratification and all that? Why do I still do all that? So next we'll see what is the answer to that. Okay. So now Arjuna asks Krishna a question. See, even though we know we are doing sin, why is it that we do it as if we are forced to, even though we don't want to? So, why is it that we are forced to do sin, even though we don't want to? Okay, so actually, we too also face the same situation many times in our life. We know we should not do this. This is not favorable for our bhakti, but still we do it. Okay, for our bhakti, for example, a small example, we know that we are not supposed to go out and eat in the restaurants, when we are practicing bhakti, because restaurants, they have onion, garlic, and everything, right? So we are not supposed to go. But still, earlier, before practicing bhakti, we had this habit of going to restaurants. Okay, but still, you know that now you should not go. But still, something is pulling you. Still, I mean, like, in your mind, you should not go to the restaurant and eat because there is onion, garlic. But still, something still pulls you. What is that Arjuna is telling? What is it that makes us do these wrong things, these sinful acts? Unknowingly or knowingly, now you go to the restaurant and you eat still. Why? What is that force? What is that is making me commit this sin? That is what Arjuna is asking here. Okay, so we can't take that firm decision. So, why does this happen? So, this is a big obstacle on our path to bhakti. So, we are not able to move forward. So, Arjuna is asking Krishna, what is the reason for this? Okay, so love transforms into lust when a living entity comes in contact with material creation. So, actually, in the spiritual world, we had love for Krishna. But when we come from the spiritual world to the material world, that love transforms into lust. Okay, that's what they're saying. Actually, see, when rainwater comes, it is very pure. But when it comes and mixes with the mud, it becomes muddy. That purity is lost, right? So, like that, initially we had love for Krishna, but when we came into this material world, that love transformed into lust. How? The example they're giving, as milk in contact with sour tamarind, okay, is transformed into yogurt. See, to milk you boil, and to warm milk, if you add some sour thing like curd or tamarind, it becomes curd, right? Like that, unsatisfied lust turns into wrath. So wrath means what? Anger. See, if your lust is not satisfied, it turns into anger. And because of anger, and this anger is transformed into illusion. Okay? So you may ask how this anger is transformed into illusion. Okay, so Prabhupada says, see, initially, when we, I think I can describe in the next shloka in detail, okay? So please try to understand this for now. In the next shloka is there in detail, there I will explain in detail. So unsatisfied lust. So if lust is not satisfied, your desire is not satisfied, it turns into anger. And anger is transformed into illusion. And because of illusion, illusion means Maya. So Maya, when you're in Maya, what happens? You continue in the material existence, right? What Maya means, too much sense gratification. So you are attached to all those objects, because of which you are forced to take birth in the material world again and again. So you'll be roaming in this material existence. Okay. So lust is the greatest enemy entangling the living entity in the material world. So what is the reason that we are forced to do sin? It is that lust. The main thing is that lusty desire. Okay. That is keeping us entangled. We have, what is that lusty desire? That material desires. See, because if we have a desire, we have to come back and fulfill it, right? Okay, so if you have no desire, only spiritual desire, then you'll go back to Godhead. But since you have material desires, you're forced to come back here. Okay, so lust, that lust which you have, that desire that you have, is the reason that you are forced to come back to for your entanglement in this material world. So wrath is the manifestation of in the mode of ignorance. This anger means you are in the mode of ignorance. Lust means you are in the mode of rajo, passion. Okay, so when you are initially in the in lust, that is you are in the mode of passion. But when that lust is transformed, because when it is not fulfilled, it becomes anger. So what happens? Anger means what? You are degrading yourself from mode of passion, rajoguna to tamoguna. So you are falling even down. You are coming into the mode of ignorance. But if, therefore, the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting. See, now from mode of passion, we've come to mode of tamoguna, ignorance, mode of ignorance. Why? Because we have come down from lust to anger. But instead of coming from lust to anger, if that lust is elevated to mode of goodness, sattva-guna, then what happens? Then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath. So you won't come to that position of anger because of spiritual attachment. See, if you engage all your senses in spirituality, your mind and senses, then that anger won't be there. So you won't be degraded. You won't be degraded. In fact, you'll go above. You'll go to the sattva guna. Okay, so lust and anger, when they are employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. Okay, so you can use this lust and anger in Krishna consciousness. Then they become friends, but not materially. Spiritually, so they become friends instead of our enemies. How? See, Hanuman burning Lanka. So Hanuman, he used his anger to burn Lanka as a service to Lord Ram, because they all were, what is this? They were insulting Lord Rama and Lord Sita. So Hanuman gets angry. So, as a service to Lord Ram, what he does, he burns the whole of Lanka in his anger, because they're insulting Rama and Sita by saying all bad words and everything, whatever. So he gets angry. So he uses his anger to burn the whole of Lanka. So that is good anger. Spiritual anger is good, but material anger, all of you by yourself, you know, when your blood boils, what happens? You get a lot of diseases, BP, all problems you get when you get angry. Your whole body is shaken, your mind, your mood, everything is disturbed. Right? So that's what they're saying. So now, see in here they will describe in detail. So now let's read 37. Anshul Mataji, please read Mataji.
काम एष श्रीभगवान् उवाच काम एष क्रोध एष रजोगुण समुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्येनं हि वैरिणम्.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Mataji. The translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion." Okay? And later is transformed into wrath. So this lust is transformed into wrath, nothing but anger, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Okay, so you see, please see this chart. Okay, so what is Krishna telling? That the main reason why we do sin, even though we are not interested, why is it that forcefully we do all these things? Because main reason is lust. Because we had that desire, strong desire. Okay, but when that desire is not fulfilled, we get anger, we get angry. Okay, let's just see this. Means you are coming from a lust which is in Rajoguna, you are degrading yourself because that lust is not fulfilled, you are getting angry. So angry means Tamoguna. Okay, we'll see later how from Rajoguna we can go to Satvaguna. So now let's see what actually happens, how we get this desire, everything. See, you see the stage, right? Thinking. So now, initially, see, you by contemplating, this is the whole list, how you get that desire, how you become lusty till you fall down. Okay, so initially you are thinking about that object. Suppose, for instance, we'll just now think you are thinking about buying an iPhone, okay, which is 1.5 lakhs. Okay, so in your mind, you're thinking, it's just in the thinking stage. Okay, it could be, I mean, I'm just giving an example of a iPhone cell phone. You can take that to food or whatever desires that you have. Okay, so that cell phone is there, you're thinking about it now. In the thinking stage, you're thinking, okay, I want to buy this iPhone cell phone. And then what happens the next stage? Now you're just thinking in your mind, that's all. Next, you think so much that you develop an attachment for that cell phone. Even when you're sleeping, you remember that cell phone. Even when you're walking down that lane, you see that shop, cell phone shop, you remember that. Even when you're eating or you're drinking, you're walking, whatever, you are just constantly about thinking about that, and you develop by thinking, you develop an attachment for it now. Okay, now you think that no, somehow I have to get it now. Okay, so which leads to lust. Now, at any cost, I want it, by hook or by crook, I want. So, this leads to lust. That desire, that strong desire, somehow I should get. Okay, so you go and ask your mother. You'll say, mother, please, I want this cell phone. I mean, iPhone cell phone, it costs 1.5 lakhs. Now, mother will say, you are so small now. What? You want cell phone now? That too 1.5 lakh cell phone. No, you can't. I will not give it to you now. You don't need it. You don't need a cell phone in the small age. So what happened? Now that lust, that lusty material desire is unsatisfied. So because your mother didn't give you that cell phone, you get anger. You get angry at your mother. So in that anger, then delusion. So you don't know what you're talking, that anger, you don't know what you're doing. So then bewilderment. So in the mind, you don't know what is right or wrong. Okay, see, when we become angry, we can't think properly, right? So we lose all our intelligence and discrimination. At that moment, we forget what is right or wrong. Okay, so this forgetfulness and confusion is called illusion. Okay, so from illusion, what happens? Illusion means what? Maya. Maya, what does it do? It nicely covers our intelligence, right? Then what happens? The person, when it is covered by Maya, the person, he acts sinfully, he speaks harshly, he hurts others, makes wrong decisions, he creates new karmas. So because of this new karma, what? The soul has to take birth again, suffer, again he desires, again he becomes angry. So same, the cycle chain repeats again and again. So you saw, right, how just by that lusty desire, you are stuck up in this cycle of birth and death. Just because of the desire, right? See, because of the desire is not satisfied, you get angry. So if you get angry, what happens? You can't think properly. Many of you must have experienced that. When you're angry, you can't think properly, you just keep shouting whatever comes to your mind without thinking. So we can't think properly. So we lose our intelligence and discrimination. So at that moment, we forget what is right, what is wrong. We don't, that thinking capacity is gone. What is wrong? So this forgetfulness and confusion, that is called illusion or Maya. So we are put in that forgetful condition. Why? Because of Maya. Okay, so that's why once you're in Maya, what happens? Maya means what? It's like a illusion, Brahma. So in that Maya, we act sinfully. We know this is right, but in that confused state, forgetfulness state, we act sinfully. We speak harshly. We hurt others. So we make wrong decisions. That's why, they say when you're too happy or when you're too much in anger or like sad, you should not make decisions. You should not commit to anything. So at this time when you're angry, you make wrong decisions. So you should calm yourself at that time. Okay, and that's why when you make wrong decisions, obviously you create new karma, right? Because of these new karma, again the soul has to take birth. Okay, he has to suffer, again he desires, again he becomes angry. So this Maya forces the soul to remain trapped in the material cycle, the samsara. Okay, so that's why they said this process. That's why Krishna is telling it is lust alone, Arjuna. So lust is the main reason, and from lust, when your desire is not satisfied, you get anger, and from anger, you see how you fall. You are stuck in this samsara, bhavaroga. How you are stuck in this material world. Okay, so that's what Krishna is trying to say. So Krishna tells Arjuna, so lust is the main reason which causes us to sin. So when the lust is not satisfied, it turns into anger. So where is this lust coming from? We told, right? Lust is coming from where? Where? Rajoguna, from Rajoguna. So lust is our main enemy. So it is very powerful. It is the main obstacle in the material world on our path to bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada tells us where from we get this lust. Okay, see, you see, pure devotees, they have only love for Krishna. But souls like us, okay, who have come to this material world, being attracted to material objects, this body, sense objects, our consciousness becomes degraded. We are so much materially attached. Like, say, we want movies, we want restaurants, we want parties, we are attached to our family members. So all these we want, right? We want wealth, name, fame, all we want. So we are attached to all these. So our consciousness has become degraded. So we want all these. See, that's why we do all these wrong things like illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating. Why? Just to satisfy our tongue, we eat meat. But how much pain are we causing when we kill that animal? And that pain and that consciousness of that animal when dying is there when you eat. And all that consciousness is transferred to you when you eat that animal. Okay, so all that we'll discuss later. See, that love for Krishna. See, initially we told, right, we were discussing how love is transformed into lust. Initially, we had love for Krishna. So now, when we come into the material world, now that love for Krishna is transformed into lust for these material objects. Okay, so lust comes from where? Rajoguna. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example. We saw, right, how milk turns into curd by adding something sour like tamarind or little curd. So, like that, actually, our consciousness is very pure because we are all spirit souls, right? Our consciousness is very pure. Just like rainwater is pure. When it comes into the material world and when it comes and mixes with mud, it becomes muddy, contaminated. So, like that, our consciousness is also pure initially. But when it comes in contact with material nature, that love for Krishna is transformed into lust for material things. So now we may think, what is there if we have lust? We will fulfill it. What is there? Then it will be okay. So we will think, right? See, now I have a desire to go to the restaurant. Now I'll say, okay, if I just satisfy that desire will go off. Okay, that will not be there in my mind no longer. That's what we think. But that is not possible. We can never satisfy lust. See, what will happen if lust is not satisfied? Okay, you may think that if I go to the restaurant and eat, that desire now no longer is there in my mind because I had. But the thing is, here you're not understanding. You're getting attached to eating that restaurant. Every time you'll think again, I want to eat, I want to eat. You think by eating, you're satisfying the lust. But again, next day or next week, you'll again feel like eating. Slowly, every week, you'll think, I'm satisfying my lust, I'm satisfying my lust. Every week, you'll eat. Because of which attachment develops. Now again, see that slowly that step will happen. You're thinking you're just satisfying your this thing, that the lust will go away. It won't go. Week by week, you'll be eating like that, like that, like that, and attachment develops. Now from attachment, you get lusty, and when it is not satisfied, it becomes anger. Then delusion. All these will come. So that's why what is the remedy? We'll see. First, we'll see what will happen if lust is not satisfied. We saw, right? It turns into anger, and anger is transformed into illusion. Okay, so what happens? Illusion, we continue to move in this material existence. And anger is the manifestation of ignorance. See, lust is Rajoguna, anger is Tamoguna. So you are degrading from Rajoguna to Tamoguna. Okay, but see, sometimes we may think if our lust is satisfied, why does it turn into anger? It is because of greed. See, if we think that our desire is satisfied, so why does it turn into anger? See, I'll give you an example now. See, suppose your lust is satisfied. Now you become greedy. I'll give you an example. You feel like wanting more and more. For example, your salary is like, say, suppose 1 lakh per month. Okay, you want 1,50,000. I mean, like, you want a bonus of 50,000 next year. Okay, so now, okay, you get whatever that desire you had, you get. But next you get greedy. You're not satisfied now. You think, oh, I got 1,50,000. My friend is getting 2 lakhs. See, now you will have the desire. No, what is 1,50,000? I want to get 2 lakhs. So you're not satisfied. It is greed. So now, how much ever you try, you're not getting that 2 lakhs. So you get frustrated. So if you're not getting that 2 lakhs now. So this greed, greed causes frustration, anger. Even though you last actually you wanted 1,50,000, you got. So you're not satisfied. Now you'll feel like because you've got that 1,50,000, you will feel like wanting more because you're greedy. More and more greedy you want. I want 2 lakhs now. But when you don't get that 2 lakhs, you get frustrated. See, I'll give you one more example. See, if you're hungry and you like rasgullas, for example, so someone gives you a tin full of rasgullas. Okay, you eat the first rasgulla, you are so happy, and it is said that the best amount of happiness you get is when you eat the first thing. That is the highest amount of happiness that you will get when you eat the first rasgulla. Okay, when you eat the second, it reduces gradually, it reduces second until the 10th. Then you're like, my stomach is full. You get, what do you say, allergic, like, oh my God, enough, too much sweet, too much rasgulla I had. But still, you have that greed. Arey, I will never get a chance to eat so many rasgullas again. But I'm not able to eat. You think that, oh, my stomach is full, I can't take, but I can't eat. I'm not able to, like take in any more. Okay, my stomach is full, and you get frustrated. Okay, in that greed, you want to have because you'll never get a chance. You never know who will give you that tin of rasgullas again. You want to eat, but your stomach is full and you're like allergic, like when that peak you've reached that peak point wherein you can't eat sweet, right? There is a peak point for us, we can't eat beyond that. So because of that, you get frustrated. Okay, so though you get to eat, you can't eat. Okay, so we can never fulfill our lusty desires. Why? Because our body has some limitations. That is why we get frustrated. We have agreed to eat, but our body has limitations. We can't eat more than that. So we get frustrated. Anger comes. Okay, so only to some limit through our body we can or we cannot fulfill the lusty desires. Okay, because through lusty desires we can't get pleasure. We think by all these lusty desires, we think we can get pleasure, but we can't get pleasure. We get only frustration and anger because our greed is so much, but our body has limitations. So that's why we get anger. So that's why we can never get happiness. That's why the maximum happiness you get is when you eat the first rasgulla. You observe that. See, whatever lusty desire you have, the initial happiness is the most maximum amount of happiness that you get. Okay, later it keeps decreasing, and finally you will say, stop. No, I can't have more than this. Okay, so that is it. So happiness can be enjoyed only on the spiritual platform. See, you go to a buffet, right? You go with the intention that I will eat this, that, this much, this dessert, that starter, that rice, that noodles, this pani puri, everything you think you will have. So much, with so much greed you go over there. I will eat this ice cream, that sweet, that gulab jamun, that rasgulla, that jalebi, whatever, that dosa or whatever. But when you go there, you think you get frustrated. Why? Because your body has limitations. Your body is not able to take more now. You are full, but still you have that desire. I want to eat that, this, there in that buffet. But because your body has limitations, it can take only that much. You become frustrated. You get angry. Okay, so that's what they're saying. Okay, That's why there is no happiness. You think when you go to that restaurant, to that buffet and eat, I will get happiness. But in really, you become frustrated because you're not able to eat. Okay, so the happiness can be enjoyed only on the spiritual platform. So on the spiritual platform, your happiness just keeps on increasing. So this material happiness is very low. Okay, actually, there are three kinds of happiness. Okay, so this material happiness is the lowest of all happinesses. That, I mean, there is no happiness, but when we consider the levels, it is the lowest. And beyond this is the Brahmananda. Okay, the Ananda that you get when you merge with the impersonal Brahman. So yesterday I was telling you, right? We have three stages to know Bhagavan, to realize God. Okay, that is impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So when these jnanis they merge with that impersonal Brahma Jyoti, they get the happiness that is crore times more than material happiness. Okay, so that is the second level of happiness. First is material happiness, that is the least. Then next is Brahmananda. So it is crore times more than material happiness. So that is why the Mayavadis, the impersonalists go there. But this spiritual happiness, Bhagavan realization, okay, that is like even crore times than Brahmananda happiness. Okay, so that is the highest happiness. So that is why Srila Prabhupada says there is little happiness here. So that is why you are not able to enjoy here. See, the first rasgulla you eat, you get a lot of happiness. So that is the main, what is utmost happiness. Okay, so the happiness that we get, that small happiness, that is what we get attached to. Okay, we at least want that happiness, but we think that is the happiness, that is the ultimate happiness, we think. See, if you go to a desert and you just drink a drop of water, are you happy with that? Will you be able to quench your thirst with that? No, right? So the happiness that we have in this material world is like a drop of water in a desert. But we all are so happy with that only. But that is not real happiness. The real happiness you get when you connect yourself with the divine, with the Lord. You serve the Lord. That is when your happiness increases. That is real happiness. Okay, so we get lusty. Why? Because of Rajoguna, and Krodha. Why? Tamoguna. So that is why to remove these Rajo and Tamoguna, what we have to do? We have to do satsang with those who are in Sattva Guna. That's why, right, we do all these online classes, we associate with devotees online or offline, whenever possible, right? So that, see, they say, when you associate with such kind of people, you get the qualities of those people. You associate with Sattvaguna people, you become Sattvaguna. See, you associate with a drunkard, you become a drunkard. Right? Like that. So here they're saying that's why you have to do satsang with those who are in Sattva Guna. So we have to develop habits that keep us in Sattva Guna. Like we should change our eating habit, we should change our sleeping habit, recreation, etc. So we should eat only Sattva Ahara. Okay, we should not eat meat. Rajoguna, meat is Rajoguna, Tamoguna, in fact, not Rajoguna also, Tamoguna. So we should eat fruits, vegetables, grains, milk. So sattvic food we should eat. We should change everything to be in Sattva Guna, and a sleeping pattern also. We should try to sleep early and get up early in the Brahma Muhurta. So early to bed and early to rise makes a man fit, healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? They say that. So you should change. How are people in Rajoguna and Tamoguna? They wake up, they watch TV programs and cell phones, Instagrams, Facebooks, YouTube till 3, 4. They'll be watching all these programs, and then at 4 o'clock they will sleep, and they get up at 10 or 11 like that. And reverse, what happens? The devotees, what do? They sleep at 9 and they get up at 4. The time the Rajoguna people sleep, the time the devotees wake up. They wake up at 3, 3:30 or 4, and they start their devotional activities. See how much difference is there? The time the Rajoguna people are sleeping, the Sattvic people are getting up. Right? So that there's a lot of difference. That's why they say we should associate with Sattva Guna people. Okay, so we because of associating, our whole lifestyle changes. We eat sattvic food, our lifestyle, everything, the way we sleep, the way we eat, the way we live, everything changes automatically. Okay, so by like if you change it, if your lifestyle itself you change, you can escape from Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So one more important thing Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport is this Kama and Krodha, how we can change them into our friends. Okay, so we were thinking it is bad, right? Kama and Krodha. So how we can change it and make it our friend. Okay, just when you start doing this satsang, automatically we will reduce or drive away Kama and Krodha. Because sattva means what? In the mode of goodness. When we associate with people who are in the mode of goodness, where is the question of lusty desires? And where is the question of anger when there is no lusty desire? So slowly what will happen is our desires, our lusty desires will come down, and when no lusty desires are there, no anger. So slowly it will come down. But sometimes what happens, we can, what Prabhupada says in the purport is we can engage our anger spiritually in the service of the Lord. Like how we saw Hanuman, right? He used his anger not for his selfish thing, right? Why? He used it in the service of the Lord. Because they were insulting Lord Ram and Sita. Sita, especially, all the demons were troubling her so much. Seeing all that, he gets angry on these people. So that's why he expressed his anger by burning Lanka as a service to Lord Ram, not to please himself. Why do we get angry? Out of anger, ego, we get angry. To support ourselves, we get angry, right? He didn't do it for himself. He did it as a service. That anger, he used it as a service to the Lord. Okay? So like that, we should engage our anger. That's what Prabhupada is saying. That is good. So when we try to satisfy our senses, see what is lust basically? So lust means nothing but when we try to satisfy our senses, that is lust. Our desires we try to satisfy, that is lust. But when we try to satisfy the senses of the Lord, that is love. See now Hanuman, what he did, he didn't get angry to satisfy himself. Okay, he engaged it in the service of the Lord. So that is out of love for Lord Ram. He used that anger in the service of Lord Ram, and he burnt the whole Lanka. So we have to convert our Kama to Prema. Right? Okay, Kama to Prema. So that is what they are saying. Okay. So next, we'll go to 38. Jaya Mataji, can you please read, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Okay, Motherji.
Yes, please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dhumrena mriyate.
No, Mataji, not Dhumra.
Dhumena mriyate.
Dhumena. Dhumena.
Dhumena mriyate vannir yatha darsho malena cha yadhol bena pruto गर्भस् तथा तेनेदम् आवृतम्.
Very well, wonderful. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Translation by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So as fire is, see, this is very important. So if you have any doubt, please don't get out and ask me at the end of the class. We discuss. Okay. So as fire is covered, and very important topic. So please try to listen properly. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust. Okay. Or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of lust. Okay, so the living beings in this world are covered by different degrees of lust. Okay, so living beings mean not just human beings, right? It could be human beings, it could be animals, birds, trees, all. So now we will see how each living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. Now they will compare actually. So that we try to see now. So there are 3 degrees of covering of the smoke of the living entity. So here 3 examples are given. If you see on the right hand side, you can see first is the fire being covered by smoke. See, like how lust is covering us, like that. How when you see a fire, you see smoke coming, right? So the fire is covered by smoke, like how we are covered by lust. The fire is covered by smoke. So that is the first example. Fire is covered by smoke. Next, dust on mirror. So on a mirror, you see dust, right? So when there is dust, you can't see anything, right? That's how, because we are lusty, we can't see anything. We are covered by Maya. So like that, they're trying to give different levels of comparison for lust. Okay. So first is fire is covered by smoke. Second, the mirror is covered by dust. And third is like the embryo. You can see the embryo, right? In the mother's womb, it is covered by that round sac, right? So like that, 3 different degrees of lust are there. So now these 3 are nothing but they're comparing to the first one, they are comparing to us human beings. The second, mirror on the dust, they are comparing to birds and animals, right? And the third, embryo in the womb, they are comparing to trees. So the first one, fire and smoke, is for humans. So they have the highest consciousness, right? Comparatively less is animals and birds, etc. all. And comparatively zero, trees have no, no, we can't say no consciousness, but it's ignorable. I mean, very menial. Okay, we can just neglect it like that. So these 3 are compared. The lusty desires, how they are, that is being compared. See now, if you take smoke on fire, the smoke covering is very less. If you see, so we can still see the fire. See, if you blow air, the fire becomes bigger and bigger. Okay, so this kind of consciousness is there in humans. So for humans, what they are trying to say is that the smoke they are comparing to lust. Okay, the fire, it's us. So if we take a pipe and we blow air, oof, oof, we blow, what will happen? More oxygen will come and the fire will increase, and smoke we can't see. Only fire we'll see. So like that, when we give Krishna consciousness, see, initially when you put the fire, only smoke you'll see. So then it means we are in the neophyte stage of Krishna consciousness. But if we blow oxygen to that smoke, fire comes. It becomes big, big. The more you blow, so take that pipe and blow, it becomes big. Now you can't see the smoke. You can see only fire. So like that, this Krishna consciousness, initially in the neophyte stage, we are covered by lust, just like how only smoke can be seen. But the more you practice Krishna consciousness, that is, you're blowing oxygen to fire. Like that, you can remove that lust, that smoke won't be seen. So, this is very easy for us, this stage. See, for the human beings, consciousness is more. So that's why if they take to Krishna consciousness, they can easily remove this layer of lust. Okay, so that is the first stage. Now, second stage is what? See, suppose on the mirror, a thick layer of dust is formed. So in the first stage, we can remove lust very easily. Okay, in second stage, where the consciousness is compared to animals and birds. See, if on a mirror you see a thick layer of dust, it's not easy to remove, right? If it's a thick layer, then what you do, first you put water on it, you allow it to soak, and then you try to scratch it neatly, and then you clean the mirror, everything. It is very hard, right? Takes a long time. Okay, so I'm talking about, say, see, 1 year you leave your house here and you went to an international place, and after 1 year you're coming back to your house. So you see that thick layer of dust on that mirror. Okay, now you do all things to remove that. So much effort is required. It doesn't come out so easily. So you put water, you soften it, then you pull it, and then you clean it. Everything you do. Okay, so this is the second stage. Animals. So the in this how do I say? So when we remove that dust, finally we are able to see our face in it, right? Okay, finally we are able to see. So this consciousness, even though it is a bit difficult, is referring to the consciousness of animals and birds. Okay, it is difficult, right? See, the if we give the animals Krishna consciousness, or the birds Krishna consciousness, they can't take it, right? Right? But very slight chance is there. We never know. But the first case, human beings, we saw fire and smoke, right? It's very easy. Higher consciousness, if we just blow some oxygen, then how fire ignites and becomes more, like that, our lust can be, initially we are in that lusty stage, only smoke we can see. That smoke can be converted to fire by blowing oxygen, like by giving Krishna consciousness. So the more you give Krishna consciousness, the more you become, that lusty layer goes away, that smoke goes away, and you can see only fire. Means only we can see our good qualities. Okay, that point you have to understand. So in human form, that lust can be eradicated, whereas in animals and birds, we saw, right, how it is very difficult. We have to scrub, we have to pour water, make it soft, remove. Very difficult. And third case is compared to a tree. Okay, see, in the mother's womb, in that embryo, it is very difficult for the baby to move, right? There hardly any place for the baby to move. So this embryo of, and that consciousness is covered. You can't do anything, right? You can't break the mother's womb, right? Like how you are cleaning the mirror, you can see now. Now you're igniting the smoke, so fire comes. But how can you can't break the that sac, right? With a baby, I mean, like embryo is sitting. Okay, so that is like the last stage. That is like tamoguna. It is like in ignorance. That consciousness is very, very low. Okay, so embryo in the womb is compared to consciousness in trees. So the consciousness in trees is very low. So we can't forget about this. Animals and trees only, we can't give Krishna consciousness. Then how about trees? No question, right? So the consciousness in animals and birds is more than trees. So the highest consciousness is there where? In man. Okay, so the third one, the embryo is fully covered by the womb, so they have no chance to remove that covering. So we can't remove that covering of lust for in trees. That is what they're saying here. Okay, so humans have a chance. So if they practice Krishna consciousness, they can remove the lust. See, just like you can remove smoke. I told you, right? By blowing air, the fire increases and you can't see smoke. So like that, there are people who have little faith, little bhakti they have. They are called neophyte devotees. They are like smoke compared to smoke. If we encourage such devotees by smoking, by blowing like this and giving them that oxygen, that Krishna consciousness, then that smoke will turn into fire. Okay, their lust, which was there in the neophyte stage, will transform into fire. So they can remove that layer of lust. So this is possible only in humans. It is not possible for animals or trees. So this is a special benefit humans have. So those generally, what it is said, those who expose their body, don't cover their body with clothes. We see all these Americans or sometimes these Indian movies also. We see Indian girls also nowadays worse than Americans they've become. They don't cover their bodies fully. So such people, who are not interested in wearing clothes properly, they take birth as trees. Because Krishna tells them, see, you are finding wearing clothes is difficult on your body, so you don't want to wear clothes, right? So I will give you a janma where you don't wear clothes. So you become trees. So trees, throughout thousands of years, some trees, they'll be there. You don't have to wear dress, nothing. See, because they're filled with so much of lust, right? These people who don't dress themselves properly, they're filled with so much of lust. They want to show off their body. They want to attract others by wearing all these very less clothes. So they're filled with so much of lust. That's why they become, Krishna gives them a janma where they don't have to put on dress. Okay, because they're filled with so much of lust, so human birth is not possible for them. So those who have low consciousness, generally they take birth as trees. So we have hope as humans. See, animals and birds, trees, they don't have that hope. They can't remove their lust. Right? There's no chance we saw. But humans, we have that chance. We have that high consciousness. Just by igniting that smoke, by blowing that on that smoke, you can ignite fire. Okay, so if we have little faith and bhakti, that is enough. Okay, we can drive away that lust by practicing Krishna consciousness. That is what they are saying. Okay. Okay, if you have any doubt, please let me know at the end of the class. Okay, I will try to explain it once again. If you have any doubt again. Okay, so Anshul Mataji, please read the 39th shloka, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji.
Yeah.
आवृतं ज्ञानम् एतमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरेण नलेन च दुष्पूरेणानलेन च.
Hari Bol. Wonderful, wonderful. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is said in the Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. So we said, right, we cannot satisfy lust. See, we will have so much of greed, but our body has limitations, right? So we can never satisfy it. We actually have so much desire to eat, but this body has limitations. Okay, so you may think that, oh, if I satisfy that lust, it will go away, that desire. It will not go away. Because you're greedy. You want to have more, 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 but you're not able to take. Okay, so that's what they're saying. See, lust is our greatest enemy. It has kept us captive in this material world for many janmas. See, if you try to satisfy lust, see in the picture, you can never be satisfied. See, example, if you think that by pouring petrol, you're extinguishing fire, you're wrong. When you pour petrol, what happens? It increases fire. But if you put water, it extinguishes, right? But if you are thinking that you are putting more petrol and you are thinking that you are extinguishing fire, that is wrong. In fact, you are enhancing it. It means that you are giving more and more, what do you say? You're getting more, you want more and more. Okay, that is greed. Okay, so you can never satisfy lust. That's what they're saying. So if we think if the lusty desires are satisfied, they will go away. No, they don't go away. So the more we satisfy lusty desires, the more we get attached. See, the more you get go to restaurants, the more you think they are actually you're satisfying that lust. Okay, now if I go to the restaurant and eat, okay, my lusty desire will go away. You think, but the taste remains, because of which now you think, now I'm full, now that is over. You think for now, but again after a few days, again that thought will come. Again, I want to go to the restaurant. So like this, you keep going, going, going. You get attached. You think you are fulfilling the lusty desire and it will go away, but it will not go away. It will become an attachment. Okay, like this is one small example. Like that, we get attached to many things in this material world, like money, our relatives, parents, wife, husband, children, name, fame, money, property. All these we get attached to. Right, and that is why we are forced to come back to this material world, because of these attachments, because of this lusty desires. Okay, but we should know that there is little happiness in this material world. It's like I told you, right? If you go to a desert and you want to quench your thirst, if you drink one drop of water, will you be happy? Will you be satisfied? Will your thirst be satisfied? I mean, quenched? No. So similarly, we get very little happiness here, but they think that I will get what. See, we all stay in the assumption that I will get happiness tomorrow. Okay, so they work hard more thinking that there will be happiness in the future. You think that if I do this now, in the future I will be happy. If I do this today, tomorrow I will be happy. So your life goes on like this only. Tomorrow, 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 tomorrow I will be happy. That day will never come and you will die. See, we think now, see, we compare actually is in this material world. See, now I have my salary is only 10,000. That's why I'm not happy. If I get 20, 30,000, then I can be happy, you think. Okay, but when you get that 10, 20, you will not be happy because you already have that now. Now you think, Arey, 30 is also not getting enough for me. Now I think I should please try for 40, 50. See, that greed is like that. The more you try to satisfy it, the more you will want. Because now you've got that. You're never satisfied. So you will work more like a donkey, more and more and more you'll work, and more greed you'll have. So because of which you will get attached. Attachment means what? Attachment to the material world means what? Again, you have to take birth and you have to come. Okay. So actually, they work hard thinking that these people, they work hard thinking that they will get happiness in the future. But at present, or they are never happy. They think with the pretension that, okay, if I get this much, then I will be happy. So they keep on working for that. So they are never happy. But they're under that illusion that I will be happy tomorrow if I get this much. Assumption. With that intention, they remain happy. Tomorrow, if I get this much, I will be happy. So these people, they work more hard thinking that they will get happiness in the future. But happiness never increases. So the first happiness that you experience is the highest, and later it keeps decreasing. Like that rasgulla, right? When you got that tin of rasgullas, the first rasgulla, you'll get the highest amount of happiness. You observe in any material desire, like for example, cell phone you take. The cell phone, if your mother buys that cell phone and gives you, that is the highest amount of happiness that you get. The first time you get that object, that is the highest. And later, what happens 2 months after that cell phone gets old and you are not at all bothered, also. That first happiness is not there now, right? Because you have it. It's now 2 months old or 3 months old. So, that material desire, the first thing when you get it, that is the highest happiness. And later, as it goes by, it decreases only. Okay, you take anything, you take cell phone, anything. Okay, that you have to understand. So, these material objects can never give us permanent happiness. It just gives us little happiness. So, finally, it gives us what we saw? It gives frustration and anger. Okay. Okay. So, we'll try to stop here. We'll continue anger. I mean, like, should we stop here, Matajis?
Hare Krishna Motherji, okay.
Yeah, fine. So 3.40 we'll take tomorrow and we'll stop to today. And Mataji, please let me know if you have any doubts, like everything.